So, one of the most popular soundtrack albums of the 1970s is rarely seen on vinyl or CD at your local Sunrise Records or any American or Canadian record shop or mom and pop. But when this came out, it not only reflected the movie so much, it basically expanded on the appreciation of what Lucas tried to do with this film. So today we're doing a short rendition on 41 original hits from the soundtrack of American Graffiti. Now, this LP came out in August 1973 and re released on CD June 22nd, 1993, 20 years later. The majority of the cuts are rock and roll, doo-wop, and R&B. Total length 102 minutes, so around 2 minutes and change per sound. Now, the soundtrack album has been certified triple platinum in the US, where it peaked at number 10 on the Billboard 200 album chart. Including the film, but out in the soundtrack are G by the Crows, Louie Louie by Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids, and Harrison Ford's in-character a cappella rendition of Some Enchanted Evening. Though the reason for the latter's two exclusion is due to the fact that those sequences weren't added to the film until the 78 re-release. They were absent in the original 73 release version. Now, a second compilation titled More American Graffiti, and not to be confused with a 79 film sequel of that name, was issued by MCA in early 75 with George Lucas's approval. It features more rock and roll and doo-wop hits from the late 50s and early 60s, only one of which, The Crow's G, was featured in the film, along with additional Wolfman Jack dialogue. A third and final oldies compilation, titled American Graffiti Volume 3, was also issued by MCA in early 76. All three albums were released as two record sets, or as a double-length tape, and now are entirely out of print. All songs of the soundtrack album are presented in the order they appeared in the film. The UK version of the soundtrack album is slightly reordered and omits three tracks, both Beach Boys songs and Teen Angel by Mark Dennen. The album is thus retitled 38 Original Hits from the soundtrack of American Graffiti. Wolfman Jack appears on 7 tracks: That'll Be the Day, Fannie Mae, Barbara Ann, The Book of Love, To the Isle, Green Onions, Only You and You Alone. Now, Fats Domino, Ain't That a Shame? On the original vinyl release of the soundtrack, and an alternate version included an overdubbed female chorus created for Domino's 1963 LP's Let's Dance with Domino's Use. The CD issue uses the original hit single recording. Now, the other difference between vinyl and CD, Love Potion number 9 by the Clovers. The vinyl release features the LP version, which concludes with the lyrics, I had so much fun that I'm going back again. I wonder what will happen with Love Potion number 10. The CD features a single version of the song, which concludes by repeating the verse, but I want to kiss the cop at 38 and Vine. He broke my little bottle of Love Potion number 9. And Party Doll by Buddy Knox fades out earlier than the original version during the final chorus. Of course, here's the key songs. Rock and Roll or Rock Around the Clock or Rock and Roll Around the Clock by Bill Haley and the Comics, 1954. 16 Candles by The Cress. Runaway by Del Shannon. Why Do Fools Fall in Love by Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. That'll Be the Day by Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Fannie Mae by Buster Brown. At the Hop by Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids. She's So Fine by Flash Cadillac and the Continental Kids. The Stroll by the Diamonds. See You in September by the Tempos. Then we have Side 2, Surf and Safari, the Beach Boys. He's the Great Imposter, the Fleetwoods. Almost Grown by Chuck Berry. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by the Platters. Little Darling by the Diamonds. Peppermint Twist Part 1 by Joey Dewey D and the Starlighters. Barbara Ann by the Regents, 1961. The Book of Love by the Monotones. Maybe Baby, Buddy Holly. Ya Ya by Lee Dorsey and The Great Pretender by the Platters. Side 3, Ain't That a Shame by Fats. Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry. I Only Have Eyes for You by the Flamingos. Get a Job by the Silhouettes. To the Isles by the Five Satins. Do You Want to Dance by Bobby Freeman. Party Doll by Buddy Knox. Come Go With Me by the Del Vikings. You're 16 by Johnny Burnett. And Love Potion number 9 by the Clovers. Side 4, Since I Don't Have You by the Skyliners. Chantilly Lace by the Big Bopper. Teen Angel by Mark Dennen. Crying in the Chapel by Sonny Till and the Orioles. 1,000 Miles Away by the Heartbeats. Heart and Soul by the Cleftones. Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. Only You and You Alone by the Platters. Good Night While It's Time to Go by the Spaniels. And All Summer Long by the Beach Boys. And again, the CD version as the 41 cuts. Now, it ended up top 12 in the Australian Kent Music Report in 73. and U.S. top LPs and tapes and Billboard Top 10. It went silver in the United Kingdom with 60,000 units sold. States 3 times platinum at 3 million copies. Now, the original cut restoration took a little while. There's a story about this that talked about it in 2022 because these are considered probably it was really remixed in Dolby Stereo for reissue. And again, the original theatrical release has never been released on home video. And the idea with the songs, they serve to drive the plot. And the fact is, if you're at a drive-in or doing your Golden Mile or whatever, these are probably songs that would have been on between 58 and 62, give or take. So it really sets the tone. The idea of the Lucas choosing all these songs or his company is quite interesting. Now, Jill Rodden was the soundtrack producer, and of course, on All Music, it gives a 5-star rating, which it should be. Now, the idea, if you can find this, the original vinyl, good luck with that. I would suspect, ladies and gentlemen, it is probably one of the most underrated soundtracks of the 1970s. You look at the big sales of Saturday Night Fever in Greece, Jesus Christ Superstar. This kind of started what they call a nostalgia boom. It's hard to believe that 1962 was the year in question. This was 73, and it was already nostalgic. I don't think people in 2024 are nostalgic for 2014. It was a very special time from 55 to about 62 before the Beatles showed up, because this was the Elvis generation. A lot of the R&B and the black artists were getting great recognition for their talent. So it's hard to believe, ladies and gentlemen, that soundtrack came out 51 years ago, give or take. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You watch American Graffiti, you can't turn down the volume of the actors, but if you kept the music on, it would tell the story because it all ties together. Especially certain scenes with Charles Martin Smith and Paul LeMat and Richard Dreyfuss. Anyway, and I think my favorite, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, when Sidney Williams and Ron Howard are dancing. They're in the midst of a possible breakup. That's my favorite use of music in the show. And also anything to deal with Del Shannon and Buddy Holly. Maybe Baby is one of my favorite songs by Buddy. I really miss him. I know I know it's weird to bring it up as a change of subject. I always change the subject on you guys. But every artist there, and you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of DJs were created by the music that they listen to. Every DJ in the 70s and 80s owes a lot to the many songs that became popular. Folk music is not on the soundtrack. This was well before folk music. I don't think Peter, Paul, and Mary and Simon and Garfunkel, it would be the same thing. But like I said, it's well put together. And the cast is tremendous. Again, there's no favorite actor in the show. It's a total ensemble. And George Lucas, I believe this is his greatest movie. And I like this better than Star Wars because there's a humanity in it here. It's not pre-manufactured. There's no merchandising with this movie. It is what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the story about the great and classic American Graffiti soundtrack. If you really like any songs of the album, let me know what your favorite is, and maybe we'll do a podcast on those songs as a follow-up. And don't forget, heat wave in the Maritimes this weekend. Be very careful. We wouldn't all lose you. A wet Maritimer is a sick Maritimer, so water up. Have a good one.